Imagine a world where trust can lead you to your darkest nightmare. A teen lures an innocent 10-year-old down a path that will shock you to your core. But what happens when the shadows hide more than just secrets? Stay tuned till the end. This chilling story will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about darkness, a quiet street. The sun's setting low. Shadows stretch long across the cracked pavement. A soft breeze stirs the leaves, but there's an uneasy stillness in the air. The sound of distant laughter echoes, but it fades as quickly as it came. Two figures appear. A teenager, a child. They move along the sidewalk, side by side. The teen's face is hidden behind a hood, her steps quick and eager. The younger girl skips beside her, her small shoes tapping the concrete. They pass an empty park. Old swings creak in the wind. The playground feels abandoned, forgotten by time. There's an unsettling quiet here, as if the world itself is holding its breath. The teen glances at the girl. Her smile is too wide, too sharp. The child laughs, oblivious to the growing tension around them. They take a turn onto a narrow alley. The air grows colder. The buildings close in, their walls pressing in on both sides. A smell of garbage and decay clings to the damp bricks. The teen's grip tightens on the girl's hand. A gentle pull. The girl stumbles slightly, but she doesn't notice. She looks up, curious. "Where are we going?" she asks. The teen doesn't answer right away. Instead, she pulls the girl deeper into the alley, farther from the fading light. The path seems endless. The sounds of the street are gone. Just silence. Only the occasional rustle of the teen's jacket. Then a whisper. A soft, almost inaudible sound. The teen leans in close to the child's ear. "You'll be safe. Trust me." The words seem to hang in the air. There's something wrong about them. Something sinister. The girl nods, unaware. But her steps slow. The teen notices. Her grip tightens again. Urgency in the movement. The alley curves, leading them into a darker space. A dead end. The girl stops. Confusion spreads across her face. Her heart beats faster. She senses the change in the air, the shift. But it's too late. The teen turns sharply, her smile no longer friendly. It's cold. Empty. Her hand moves quickly. A flash of metal glints in the dim light. The girl gasps. The world around her goes still. A scream cuts through the silence. But it's swallowed by the alley. No one will hear. No one will come. And the last light of day fades completely into darkness. The alley is now a tomb. The girl's body lies motionless. A puddle of red slowly spreads beneath her. The teen steps back, looking down at her work. Her breath comes in shallow, controlled bursts. She stares at the child, unblinking. There is no regret in her eyes. No sign of fear. Only a cold, calculating emptiness. She wipes the blade clean on her sleeve, the metal gleaming for a moment. The teen looks around, checking the shadows, the corners. Everything is still. Silent. She pulls the hood lower over her face, blending with the darkness. Her heart beats steadily now, steady and calm. The world seems far away. The chaos she's caused feels like an echo, distant and fading. For a moment, she listens. Only the wind stirs. Then, her footfalls echo as she turns, leaving the alley behind her. The night is growing deeper, heavier. The teen's figure disappears into the blackness of the street. The quiet continues. The only thing left in the alley is the girl. Her lifeless eyes stare up at the empty sky, unaware of the time that passes, unaware of the world that moves on. She's forgotten now. The teen, meanwhile, walks briskly, her pace quickening with each step. She doesn't look back. The faintest trace of a smile lingers on her lips. But it's not one of joy. It's the satisfaction of something done. Something irreversible. Her heart doesn't race anymore. She is calm, focused. And as she turns a corner, she disappears from sight, as if she never existed at all. The world continues spinning. But in that alley, time stands still. The alley is left in its hollow silence. The wind picks up, sending a swirl of debris across the ground. A faint rustling of leaves. The sound is the only thing that stirs the emptiness. There are no sirens, no footsteps, no cries. The night deepens, growing heavier with every passing moment. In the distance, a single street lamp flickers, casting an uncertain light onto the sidewalk. But the alley? The alley remains untouched.
Still.
Unbroken. Back on the street, the teen walks swiftly, her eyes scanning the shadows. She blends into the city like a ghost, unnoticed by those who pass her by. There are no thoughts in her mind now, only actions. The path is clear. The plan is complete. She crosses into a darker part of town, the streets quieter, more desolate. There's a sense of finality in the air, as if the city itself knows something is wrong, but it doesn't care to stop it. A faint voice echoes in the distance. A child's laughter, a reminder of the life that was taken. But the teen doesn't look back. She doesn't falter. Her hand slips into her pocket, fingers brushing the cold, smooth surface of her phone. She stops briefly to glance at the screen. The message is clear. It's time to vanish. The teen taps a few quick keys and hits send. A chill runs down her spine. She walks faster now, her mind set on the next step, on the escape. The city streets blur as she moves through them, an anonymous figure in the night. And all the while, the alley remains, dark and cold, with only one occupant left. A body that no one will ever find in time. A life that will never be remembered. But the teen? She has already disappeared. And the world moves on. The night stretches on, indifferent and uncaring. The city hums with its usual pulse, unaware of the darkness that lingers beneath it. Somewhere, a clock ticks. Minutes turn into hours. But in that alley, time holds no meaning. The shadows cast by the streetlights grow longer, their reach ever so slight, creeping into the corners of forgotten spaces. The world outside continues, people rushing to their own lives, lost in their own concerns. But the alley remains frozen. A body lies in the dirt, its innocence gone. The streets are empty now, the usual hum of life replaced by an unsettling quiet. No one notices the emptiness left in the alley. No one notices the child who never made it home. The teen has already planned her escape. The police will come. They will search. They will ask questions. But they won't find her.
She knows too well how to disappear.
She knows every crack in the pavement, every shadow that hides the truth. She knows how to leave no trace. And for now, that's enough. She pauses at the edge of the street, listening for a moment. The night is alive with small noises. The distant sound of a dog barking. A car passing by, its headlights slicing through the dark. But nothing else. Not yet. Her phone buzzes in her pocket, and she pulls it out, checking the message. A single word, go. It's time. With a glance over her shoulder, she steps away from the city, away from the life she's left behind. Her footsteps are quiet, but purposeful. The darkness wraps around her like a cloak. As she walks, the city begins to feel even further away. Her breath steady, her mind clear. She moves deeper into the night, disappearing once more, leaving only a whisper behind her. But the silence she leaves in her wake? It's deafening. The night thickens, smothering the streets in shadows. The teen moves through them, swift and sure. She's a ghost in this city. Her steps quiet but determined. No one notices her. No one even looks. She passes the corners where life still moves, where people laugh and shout, where the lights are brighter. But she doesn't belong there anymore. The alley is far behind. She's untouchable now. Her phone buzzes again, a soft vibration against her palm. She glances at the screen, her face unreadable. A single word, again run. Her pace quickens. She turns down an even darker street, one that's long since forgotten by most. A place where the echoes of the past linger like dust in the air. The farther she goes, the more the world falls away. Only the soft thrum of her heartbeat is left, and the faint click of her shoes against the concrete. But there's something else now. A feeling, a shift in the air. The city, once oblivious, now seems to notice the absence. It feels like something has cracked, a break in the rhythm of life, like the universe itself is holding its breath. But the teen doesn't stop. She can't stop. She doesn't even dare to look back. The dark street ahead is endless. The sound of her footsteps fades into the night. And as the first light of dawn begins to creep over the horizon, the teen disappears into the deep shadows once more. A figure lost to the world. Her past erased. Her future uncertain. And all that remains in the alley, in the forgotten corner of the city, is the silence. The silence that will never speak again. The day begins to stretch its first rays across the sky, but the darkness lingers. A thin veil of mist clings to the earth, curling around the buildings like a shroud. The quiet of the city feels wrong now. The streets are emptier than usual. The sounds of the world seem muffled, as if the air itself is holding its breath. The teen has gone, melted into the city, like a shadow at dawn. But somewhere in the depths of the world, someone will start looking. Someone will realize. There will be questions. There will be whispers. The girl, forgotten by no one, will be searched for. The family will grieve. The world will start to feel the pull of her absence. But for now, the streets remain untouched.
Still.
Silent. The teen's movements, though, are quick and deliberate. She moves through the underbelly of the city, where the lights never reach. Her skin still holds the chill of the night. She doesn't feel the weight of the darkness anymore. The plan is clear. The escape is almost complete. A rusted door creaks open, its hinges groaning in protest. The teen steps inside, the light from the street lamp outside casting a long shadow over the threshold. The door slams shut behind her. The air inside is damp, thick with the smell of decay. She's safe here, hidden. But something feels different now. The walls seem to close in tighter. Her breath catches for just a moment. The finality of it. The moment she's crossed the line. But she doesn't linger on it. Instead, she moves deeper into the darkness, her face unreadable. The world outside might be changing. But inside, it's hers. And there, in the dark, the teen finally allows herself a breath. A single, steady exhale. The silence that follows is heavy. But it's hers now.
It always has been.
The silence in the room is thick, almost suffocating. The teen stands still, her eyes adjusting to the dim light. She listens, but the sound of her own breathing is the only thing that reaches her ears. The walls around her seem to press in, making the air heavier. But she doesn't flinch. She never does. Her fingers twitch, just once, the only sign of any emotion. Her phone buzzes again in her pocket. A reminder. She pulls it out quickly, eyes scanning the message.
Move.
Don't stop. Her heart doesn't race. No panic. No fear. Just a calm, unshakable focus. She knows what comes next. She knows the path. And in the stillness of the room, she moves. Her feet carry her without hesitation, as if the air itself guides her forward. The dark room opens into another hallway, cold and empty, stretching before her like the rest of her life. Her steps are sure quick. The darkness outside is still there, but she's no longer afraid of it. The city, the world, the noise. She's untouchable now. Her mind has already crossed the point of no return. She's already gone beyond the edge. No one can find her.
Not now.
Not ever. And yet, somewhere in the back of her mind, a whisper nags at her. A thought that won't leave. A question she dares not ask herself. But she pushes it aside, focused on the next step. Her footsteps echo softly down the hallway, but they're swallowed quickly by the darkness. It feels as if the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for her to make her next move. The teen reaches a door at the end of the hall. A door that leads to another unknown. Another place where she can disappear. She hesitates for a fraction of a second. Then she opens it, stepping out into the night again. And just like that, she's gone. The night stretches before her, endless and full of shadows. The city around her feels distant now, like it belongs to someone else. No one notices her slipping through the cracks. She moves silently, like a breath of wind, vanishing into the night. The street ahead is empty, bathed in the pale glow of distant streetlights. The world feels cold, but she doesn't mind. She's already forgotten the warmth of it. Her mind is clear, sharp. She focuses only on the path in front of her. Each step takes her farther from the life she's left behind. The people she's betrayed, the ones she's hurt, they're all fading now. Farther and farther away. The city, her old world, begins to feel like a dream. A place that never existed. The teen walks past streets she used to know. Streets that once felt like home. But they don't belong to her anymore. The weight of the past is lifting slowly. The streets get quieter. The buildings become less familiar. Her breath slows, each exhale more controlled. She passes alleys, corners, storefronts. Places that used to have meaning. But not now. Not anymore. The world outside is moving, turning, rushing forward. But for the teen, the silence is all that remains. The silence and the darkness. Her phone buzzes once more, but she doesn't look at it. She's beyond messages now. She's past the point of return. And as she walks, something shifts again. A sensation in the air. Like the city is waking up, slowly realizing something is missing. But it's too late. She's already gone. And the city will never know the truth. Only the silence will remain, deep and unsettling. And the teen, as she disappears into the shadows once more, becomes a part of that silence. An absence. A void. But that, in the end, is all she's ever wanted. The city continues to pulse with life, unaware of the darkness that has seeped into its bones. The teen has long since vanished from sight, but the weight of her actions lingers in the air like a poison. Time moves on, indifferent to the absence she's left behind. But the world isn't as quiet as it seems. Something shifts in the rhythm of the city. A feeling that grows unnoticed at first, but then sharpens. The search begins. A family, broken and desperate, asks the questions that no one wants to answer. Where is she? What happened to her? They gather in quiet rooms, trying to piece together the fragments of a life that has suddenly gone missing. The answers are elusive. And the girl who vanished without a trace becomes the subject of whispered conversations. The police start their investigations, a search that grows colder with each passing day. But the teen? She's already too far gone. She watches from the edges, blending into the dark corners of the city. She feels the weight of their eyes, the growing desperation of the search. But none of it matters. None of them will ever find her. She's untouchable now. The world she left behind is no longer hers to claim. In the quiet of the night, she takes another step into the unknown. She moves further into the shadows, where the streets are empty and the night feels endless. And for a brief moment, there's a sense of something stirring in the distance. A voice, faint but steady, calls out. But the teen doesn't turn back. She keeps walking, her heart steady, her breath calm. The city fades behind her, swallowed by the night. Her past, the life she once had, is nothing but a distant memory. And as she disappears into the darkness, there is nothing left but the quiet, the silence that follows her always. An echo of the life she's left behind, forever lost. The city sleeps, unaware of the finality that has unfolded beneath its oblivious gaze. The air is still, and the lights flicker in the distance, casting long shadows that stretch across empty streets. It's a night like any other, the world continuing as if nothing has changed.
But something has.
The teen, once a figure slipping through the cracks of a life she no longer wanted, is gone. There's no trace of her now. No echo. No reminder of her presence. She has faded into the darkness, as though she were never there. The city moves forward, its rhythm unbroken, its heart beating in the same steady pulse. But somewhere, deep within, there is a shift, a quiet, subtle awareness of a missing piece. The family waits, hearts heavy with hope, yet burdened with dread. They search for her in places that no longer hold her. They ask questions, but the answers are lost to them. The world outside has moved on, leaving them behind in the quiet, empty space of grief. The teen's footsteps are nothing but a whisper now, swallowed by time and distance. Her name fades into the wind, a fleeting memory that will never fully be remembered. She has erased herself. And as the first rays of dawn stretch across the horizon, the city begins to wake again. But there is no resolution, no neat conclusion to this story. Only the silence left behind. The echo of a life that was never fully lived, the ghost of a presence that once walked among them, now gone. The streets are quiet. The night has finally released its grip, but the silence remains. The teen is lost, never to be found. And the world moves on, unaware of the darkness that lingers beneath its surface. The last whisper of her story fades into the quiet. And in that stillness, the final chapter is closed.